What's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of Mind Something. If you're new here, my name is Jake, and in today's video we've got the results from the FOMC meeting. We need to talk about that, and we've got a brand new GPU mineable coin, Dynex. We're going to go over that in detail. And then Intel drivers are getting better and the GPUs are getting cheaper. And then lastly, the Ryzen X3D CPUs are launching this month, and we're going to talk about potential performance for mining. So before we get into it, do me a favor, hit that like and hit the subscribe. Let's take a look at the market. So time of recording right now is 10:35 p.m. on February 1st, 2023. Bitcoin is coming in at 23,890, Ethereum at $1,673, XRP at 41 cents, Cardano at 40 cents, Dogecoin at almost 9.5 cents, Polygon at $1.24, Solana at 25.31, Polkadot at 6.55, Litecoin at $101, Avalanche at $22. We've got Monero coming in at almost 180 bucks, and Ethereum Classic at 22.74, and then Toncoin at $2.45. Let's go ahead and take a look at some of the GPU mineable coins. We'll start with Kaspa, which is currently up a little over 7% right now, sitting at 0.00581. And then we've got Ergo coming in at about $1.80, which is up about 2.5% for the last 24 hours. Raven coin is up almost 5% at 3 cents. And we're going to talk about Dynex, so we'll go ahead and take a look at the price. Right now it is up almost 12% on the 24-hour chart at 13 cents. And let's take a look at Raven coin. Actually, we just looked at Raven coin. Let's take a look at Radiant. So Radiant is down 3%, sitting at 0.0068. And then lastly, let's take a look at Nexa. So Nexa is up about 5.8% in the last 24 hours, just under 0.0001 at 992. So let's go ahead and jump in and take a look at emissions for the last 24 hours on most of these mineable coins. So Bitcoin on top, of course, followed by Dogecoin and Litecoin and Ethereum Classic. Chia is up to 417,000 a day. Kaspa at 140,000 a day. Bitcoin Cash 123,000. Flux at 86,000. Monero at 72,000. Ergo at 69,000. And if we scroll down a little ways, we'll see Dynex down here actually at 22,000, making the top 25 by emissions. And of course, Bitcoin we've already covered, up about 4.68% over the last week. Dogecoin down about 10%. ETH Classic down about 4.5%. Kaspa up about 1.7%. Flux is up 32%. And Monero is down 6%. And let's take a look at Dynex. So Dynex is up 31%, and I would imagine after today, tomorrow, the next couple of days, you're going to see that skyrocket as well, because I'm talking about it. I saw Rabid Mining in their Discord. I've seen Soat put out a YouTube short about it. So it's going to make the rounds pretty quickly, guys, but we're going to cover it as soon as we can here. So let's talk about profitability on a single 3070 at 10 cents per kilowatt hour. As you can see, Dynex is on top at 30 cents after power. Nexa at 8 cents, Radiant at 2 cents, Cortex at 2 cents, Conflux at a penny, Ravencoin -1 cent, Ergo -1 cent, ETH POW and Alephium -2 cents, Kaspa -2 cents, Alephium -3 cents, Flux also -3 cents, ETH Classic and Alephium -3 cents, and I'll just scroll down a little ways so that you guys can see the rest. Now let's go ahead and jump into CPU mining profitability. So on a single 5950X, you are looking at a $2 a day profit on Yada Coin, and then a 35-cent profit on Pandanite, Darrow at 18 cents, Pulsar at 14 cents, Raptorium at 10 cents, Bitorium at 9 cents, and Monero also at 9 cents. And then everything else should be negative. Let's go ahead and take a look at ASIC miner profitability. So we've got the KA3 on top, of course, at $50.85, up a little bit from yesterday. K7 coming in at $29.15, L7 at $16.58. The Gold Shell KD Max coming in at $4.87. First Jasminer X4 at $4.60. And the Gold Shell KD6 coming in at $3.17. And I'll scroll down a little ways so that you guys can see the rest. Pause if you need to. And let's go ahead and jump into some of the articles making the headlines on Cointelegraph. So first, we covered this yesterday. Sam Bankman-Fried's bail guarantors should be made public, judge rules. FTX sister company Alameda Research sues Voyager Digital for $446 million. And we've got Elon Musk wants Twitter payment system built with crypto in mind. And Justice Department defends motion to bar Sam Bankman-Fried from accessing FTX Alameda assets. Well, they should have freaking barred him from touching a damn computer. I mean, the guy should have zero access whatsoever to any of the potential wallets that they've got hidden. Anyways, I'll get off my soapbox. And then lastly, we've got best January since 2013. 5 things to know in Bitcoin this week. So I noticed a tweet from Benjamin Cohen in regards to the FOMC meeting. Now, if you don't follow Benjamin's channel, he is, I don't want to say an advocate for the Fed, but he does seem to be in their corner and defend what they do a lot. And he has been very vocal in saying that the Fed is not going to pivot. They are going to continue to stay the course and raise rates accordingly. And a lot of people argue that that's not necessarily the case. Now, Benjamin has had some hits, he's had some misses, but just one thing that I wanted to point out, you know, he's a data scientist, so he should take something like this comment into consideration. Patterns in charts only appear because of human emotion. Powell is statistically likely to repeat the same emotions as his predecessors. And what I mean by that is, if you go back to the 1970s when inflation was this high, let me show you a chart real quick. So going back to, I think roughly about 74 maybe, as you can see, we had this gigantic spike in inflation, and they thought they got it under control with a lot of actions taken by the Fed. But if you notice, we went right back to where we were just a few years later. And it would be detrimental for the Fed to pivot too quickly. And I think the idea is they're going to maintain the current trajectory and do another quarter of a point rate hike in the following months. And then that would be it. And they'll hold rates where they are. They won't pivot or reverse course and start to bring rates down. However, they are faced with a much different monetary system than they had in the 70s, and it may be imperative for them to pivot much sooner than they did back in the 70s and the 80s. But you know, I think a pivot is going to come when something breaks. I don't think that they'll pivot prior to that as much as markets would like them to, but we're just going to have to wait and see. So anyways, moving on, let's talk about Dynex. So we're going to cover a lot of different things on their website. We're going to cover the white paper. We're going to talk about whether there was a pre-mine, ICO, how many coins per block, how many blocks per day, the team, all of these things. So just take note. I'm going to read some of the things from the website, and then we'll kind of jump off into the weeds here in a moment. So the world's first decentralized neuromorphic supercomputing platform, Dynex is a next-generation platform for neuromorphic computing based on groundbreaking flexible blockchain protocol. It consists of participating proof of useful miners that constitute a decentralized neuromorphic supercomputing network which is capable of performing computations at unprecedented speed and efficiency, even exceeding quantum computing, by transforming traditional inefficient computers into neuromorphic chips. We will finally be able to create new discoveries. Dynex proprietary proof of useful work algorithm Dynex Solve enables each miner to perform Dynex chip computations. As a community And with collaborative effort, we can take the next steps towards sustainability and efficiency. They misspelled efficiency. Transform your computer or your dormant GPU mining equipment into neuromorphic machines, earn money, and generate wealth. So as you can see, we're at block height 103,000. Hash rate is currently 4,175 kilohash, something like that, or 4.175 kilohash. I don't know. These decimal points and commas kind of confuse me here. And then the current reward is 282 Dynex, over 222,000 transactions, and we've got 35,950,000 in circulation currently. Now, there is something that breaks this down into layman's terms, but I'm going to scroll down here to a couple of things just to be aware of. So they say, when Dynex started on September 16th, 2022, there was no initial coin offering, or ICO, no pre-mining, and no pre-allocation of tokens to any team member or investors. A truly fair launch, unparalleled in any other token platform. I don't know if it's unparalleled, but anyways, moving on. Dynex serves as the foundation for applications and algorithms built on top of it. It consists of participating miners that together constitute one enormous neuromorphic computing network, a highly efficient next-generation computing system, and supposedly is energy efficient. In light of the growing threat of climate change to our environment and our future, it is imperative that we take every measure necessary to reduce global energy consumption. And accelerated adoption of neuromorphic computing will therefore benefit our entire society, since it uses orders of magnitude less energy compared to traditional computing systems. I want to cover a few things in the white paper real quick. So mainly what I wanted to cover is the emission schedule. So again, it says Dynex native token is called DNX and can be divided into 10 to the 9th power smaller units called nano DNX, or nano DNX equals 1 billionth of a DNX. There will be a total maximum of 100 million available. DNX are vital to the stability and security of the Dynex platform for a number of reasons as outlined below. Tokens will be emitted according to the predetermined and hard-coded schedule. There is no ICO, no pre-mining, no coin drop for developers, or any other hidden incentive built into the token. Upon launch, the Dynex mainnet, all 100 million DNX tokens will be available according to the emission schedule. To ensure the smoothness of the emission process, we use the following formula for block rewards. So looking at this schedule is based in days. So 250 days, 500 days, 750 days, 1,000 days. And that was a bit of a head scratcher, because if I'm doing my math right, and I asked the question in here, if there was a halving, and I get the answer, there is no halving. The emission schedule is decreasing the reward on every block. You can find the emission curve in our white paper. It takes around 4 years until full supply. So 4 years from their start date, which was September of 2022, that's it. No more coins being minted. And currently, if I'm correct, or if this is accurate, that means 35% is already in circulation. Now, if you look at this emission schedule, as this gradually changes over time, obviously coins per block goes down, but the amount of coins in emission per 250 days goes up drastically. And what this is something that I've been looking for a while. at some point I asked myself, is there a coin out there that has zero inflation? In other words, 100% is in circulation, no more will ever exist, and every time someone loses a seed phrase or loses access to their wallet, essentially those tokens are burned, which increases the value over time. Now, this type of emission schedule could drastically drive price higher long term, but short term, the higher the emission is initially, the selling pressure is going to hurt. But long term, that's pretty bullish in my opinion if 100% of the coins are in circulation in 4 years. And then also taking a look at the block explorer, and I just counted how many blocks that I saw, and this time frame ranges basically about an hour. So if there's 40 blocks within an hour, then that means we're looking at roughly 720 blocks per day, which means 203,000 coins per day. And if you extend that a little bit further, we're talking about 74 million coins per year, assuming that there's 282 coins per block. Now, of course, that changes over time based off of this graph that I'm showing you. But what that tells me is a lot of the coins are going to be in circulation very, very quickly. So I recommend trying to accumulate as much as you can if this is something that you are interested in mining. So moving on, we talked about no halving. The next thing is mining. There's several different pools already. In fact, let's go ahead and pull that up real quick. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 pools roughly, and it looks like a couple of those aren't really active. So current hash rate is 5, or excuse me, let's just take a look at the difficulty here. I don't know if this was CPU mineable at some point and then it switched, but the difficulty here obviously just drops off like crazy. And as you can see, we've peaked up a few times. We're currently, I would say, the highest that we've been as far as difficulty is concerned since roughly December. I don't know what happened here leading up to that point, but obviously this is going to continue to go up, being the most profitable coin to mine at the moment. But I don't like to see 49% of the hash rate on one pool. I would like to see this decentralized quite a bit more. And I am using, I don't know if it's pronounced Eka EKA pool. This is one of the only US pools that I could find. But what I wanted to point out here is look at the fee for solo mining. 99%, 100%, 99%. Now here we have Neuropool at 1%, and we've got Newpool at 0%. But when I asked about solo mining in their Discord, I got this answer. Solo is not allowed at this time. However, it does look like a few of these pools are not complying. So, I don't know. I'd love to try and solo mine it. 282 coins per block. Looks like 720 blocks per day. Considering the size of the network right now, I'd stand a pretty good chance at mining quite a few solo blocks. So if I can figure that out, I will let you guys know. And I'll just let you kind of take a look at the HiveOS GUI here for a moment. Now, I don't have all my rigs on Dynex, but I do have a few of them, and we'll take a look at what I've got. So we've got 3 of these rigs. We've got Alderaan, which is all 3070 Ti's, Naboo, which is 3080s and 3070s, and Tatooine, which is a variety of Founders Editions from 3060 Ti's all the way through 3080 Ti's. And then we also have Jakku, which is 2070 Super, a 3090, and a 3080. And by the way, 3090s are phenomenal compared to almost every other GPU on this coin. It has a lot to do with the VRAM, and yeah, if you compare a 3090 and a 3080, look at this, it's more than doubling and a much better power usage. So a couple of other things. Let me just show you how things have been going so far. I started mining this maybe 6 to 8 hours ago or so. And so far we've mined roughly, if you combine the pending balance, almost 30 Dynex over that course, which is in line with what I'm seeing on profitability calculator with hashrate.no. Now, if you're curious what the overclocks are and how to set up the flight sheet, a couple of things to be aware of. Number one, there is only one miner for this, and it's custom built specifically for it. I've talked to a few of the other devs. They're going to take a look at it and see how easy of a project it's going to be to tackle to create another miner, but it's very weird. The algorithm is very unusual compared to what I'm used to seeing. It seems like initially wattage, it's just going to jump around all over the place. I've seen these go from 20 watts still at 72 hash all the way up to 110 still at 72 hash. Seems to fluctuate, so I don't know exactly what that was initially. Maybe it's just as the miner starts and gets used to what it's doing, it jumps around a lot. Also, you'll notice that your very first share is most likely going to be rejected. A lot of unknowns with this. You know, as far as the team is concerned, they haven't doxed themselves yet. I have no idea who they are, what they've worked on before. I am going to release a video probably shortly after this on how to mine it, how to set up the flight sheet, and all of that good stuff. But for now, we're going to move on. We're going to cover the rest of the news. And if you've got questions, please leave your comments down below. So, Intel Arc Control no longer just an overlay app. The rumors were true. Intel will now be offering 2 displaying options for its Arc Control software. The overlay mode can now be disabled and changed to standalone desktop mode, meaning that the application will be displayed just as any other Windows software. Intel has not completely removed the overlay option. Instead, users can now choose between overlay and desktop modes, or alternatively both. Should this option be chosen, the app can still display the performance metrics overlay in the games. Furthermore, the new driver brings support for Intel's new 13th gen Core Raptor Lake mobile CPUs. Although the driver notes do not specifically mention the SKUs, Platform OS support mentions all Raptor Lake models, including Raptor Lake S, Raptor Lake HX, H, and P. You can download the new driver here. And I've seen some reports, I think it was Jay's 2 cents. Let me see if we can find his video real quick. So, massive FPS gains via driver update, and there's a chart in here that I want to show you real quick. So, where is it? There we go. So look at some of these games, up to a 77% increase in frames per second, which is a pretty amazing driver update. I'm really hoping that some of this translates to mining capability, but unfortunately no reports of that yet. I don't think there's many miners out there that have any Intel Arc GPUs, just because the support was so terrible. Even I purchased one, did some testing with it, and got rid of it pretty quickly, mainly because it couldn't carry the workload for editing purposes for the YouTube channel. But anyways, moving on. Not only are the drivers better, but now they're cheaper. So GPU Maker reduces the price of the A750 GPU to $249 in the US, which is $30 cheaper than at launch. The price reduction is to be applied worldwide, but Intel is not sharing pricing for other regions. Intel has disclosed the improvements of its new 4086 driver, although the latest driver is 4091. It is said to deliver 10% to 77% higher performance with Arc A750 GPU. The new driver also improves frame time significantly compared to the launch drivers from a few months ago. The FPS percentile has improved as well. Intel claims that the Arc A750 will now offer 52% better performance per dollar compared to NVIDIA RTX 3060. Those are, of course, Intel supplied numbers, and they are yet to be verified by independent media. The RTX 3060 now costs around $391, which is a lot more than an Arc A750. So yeah, if any of you guys have one of these Arc Intel GPUs, I'd be very curious to know, if there are new drivers for Linux, because obviously if you're using Hive OS, that's going to be an issue. But if not, if you're mining in Windows and you see some performance increase, or you have more tools for overclocking, please leave your comments down below. And then next, wanted to get into the performance capabilities of the X3D CPUs that are soon to launch. So according to this article from Video Cards, first AMD Ryzen 7000 X3D CPUs to launch on February 28th. The company reveals that its flagship 16-core Ryzen 9 7950 X3D will cost just as much as the original Ryzen 9 7950X 16-core Zen 4 at launch, which is $699. The processor will launch alongside Ryzen 9 7900 X3D, which is a 12-core version of on February 28th. AMD has priced this model at $599, which is $50 more than what the 7900X was at launch. These Ryzen 9 X3D CPUs are to be followed by 8-core Ryzen 7 7800 X3D model on April 6th. According to AMD, this CPU will cost $449, which is actually more than recently announced Ryzen 9 7900 non-X for $429. All three processors are equipped with increased 3D V-cache, which is said to deliver better gaming performance across the stack. The flagship model was demonstrated by AMD beating Intel's Core i9 13900K 24-core CPU in gaming. The new launch prices for Ryzen 7000 X3D guarantee that the 700 or 7000X series will not return to original pricing. In fact, all prices listed below are already much lower in a retail market, according to Amazon. So we'll come back to this little chart here, but just take note of the difference between the L2 plus L3 cache. So on a 7950X, we're jumping from 80 to 144 megabytes, which is pretty substantial. So to give you some indication as to what this could translate to for mining performance, let's take a look at a couple of things here. So when it comes to profitability on previous X3D versions, which would be the 5800X, without including power, let's just hit calculate here. So we're looking at 56 cents a day in revenue using NiceHash. Okay. Now you compare that to a 5800 non-X3D, 31 cents. So we go from 56 cents to 31 cents, or whatever it was, 53 cents to 31 cents. That's a substantial difference between the two, and especially when you start to consider power. So once you calculate this with power, you're looking at 6 cents in profit on a 5800X versus $0.34 a day in profit, which is substantial. You know, efficiency is definitely a thing. And I think a lot of this is coming specifically from the L2 and L3 cache. So let's go back to this chart here for a second. So if we're going from 80 to 144. Well, what did we do when we had the 5800 X3D versus the 5800X? We jumped from 32 to 96. Look at the rest of the specs. The base clock was actually higher on the 5800X, and the turbo clock was actually higher. TDP stayed the same. So the majority of this is coming from the L3 cache. And let's go back. Let's look at this one more time. We're going to go from 80 to 144. On the 7900X, we're going to go from 76 to 140. And then some of the rest of them here on the 7700X, we're going from 40 to 104. Yeah, I think this is substantial. And these are going to be a lot more efficient. So I think this is definitely something to look out for, guys. Keep this on your calendars. February 28th is coming up pretty quick. Anyways, that's the end of this video. I appreciate you guys watching. Do me a favor, hit that like and hit the subscribe on your way out, and I'll see you on the next one.